Poesía. Poetry. Greek meaning poesía. I create, yo creo, conveying love, at times some anger, lyrical yet magical methods of manifestations. I love it. A way of remembering, holding on to memory, preservation is called poetry. Predating literacy in many languages, 9 elements of poetry, alliteration, assonance, consonance, figurative language, poetry. I love the imagery. Rhyme with me, feeling the rhythm, sometimes bongos, but today cover me. I'm going in with drums and violins. I'm Dr. Poetry. I dance while I write a stanza, choosing wisely my tone, bailando el son, escuchando la clave. Each feeling the recentering rapidly to the movement of my pen as I express my thoughts through poem. What many refer to poetry, but was Latin really derived from the Romans? Negative, it's from the Phoenicians. Latin realmente no derivó de los romanos. After all, aren't we all hermanas y hermanos? Honors to all languages as we keep creating. We may all be speaking, but are we really communicating? I see you over there playing investigator all in my hair, pero yo no me ha muerto para que me estén velando. Entiendo lo que estoy falando, mi filia. Fica con calma, nene. No fica así, no. No fica con rabia, no. No one is shaming you for speaking different languages that connect us all. There's always truth in the lie, and I choose to rely on my frequency. But for me, it's the ability to express my thoughts in several languages. After all, the point of it all is to connect and not disconnect. Protection for the connection. Embrace my affection. In poética dieri, soy doctora poesía. Soy la doctora poesial. ¿A qué aconteció como lengua latina? Ella es extinta. What happened to the Latin language? Is it extinct? Is it dead? Está muerto. Que un mergulano inició de latín. ¿El dónde veo? ¿De dónde vino? Phoenician derived, said the Romanos. So they added TIC to create a romantic language of French, Romanian, Spanish, and Portuguese. There's always truth in a lie, and I choose to rely on my frequency to embrace all dialects, accents that beautifully remind us of our diversified ancestry. Poesía sounds like a lot, right? I love it. Speaking Latin, Portuguese, and Spanish, but where did it come from? Phoenician. No one is shaming you for speaking different languages. Ninguém tá falando mentira, minha filha. Fica com calma, neném. Da mão não fica assim, não. There's always truth in the lie, and I choose to rely on my frequency. Frequency. Ninguém me está aborgando você por falar diferente. A linguagem que nos conecta a todos. Yo amo poesía con toda mi alma. Poesía. Feel free to hate on me. I'm Dr. Poetry, and I love poetry.
Hey, everybody.
What's going on?
Hey. How y'all doing?
Welcome back. We on another episode of Hear Me Out Saturday. I'm Def Poetry. Lovely ladies, Dr. Poetry, Miss Cheesecake.
What's going on?
We got an exciting we another week for everybody. How y'all doing today? Dr. Poetry, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be back. We had a little hiatus, but we've been having fun. We've been creating. We've been in our bag, writing, and just enjoying ourselves with a lot of poetry, a lot of new projects. Can't wait to hear from everyone. If we get a little glitching, y'all, you know how this is. I'm from Borinquen. We get that Luma problem. But we got a lot of great things coming up, and I'm going to show you some promos soon. So when we get around the table later on, we'll have a quick commercial break so you can start seeing what's coming soon to the Hear Me Out Poetry channel. All right, y'all. Miss Cheesecake, what's up with you? My darling, what's happening?
I'm doing all right. Glad to be here. We've been busy, but we back at it again. It's good to see all of you as always. And hey, people.
Hey, our viewers, right? I know. And I got to say, if you guys didn't get a chance to look at the Poetic Clinic, the special on autism, by the way, it is Autism Awareness Month. These two beautiful ladies did a fabulous job. I was touched. I was able to, really understand somewhat because I cannot speak of things I don't understand. And I was able to get a better understanding. It was very insightful, Miss Cheesecake and Granny. Both of you was wonderful. Snaps out to you both, first of all. That
Appreciate that.
was
Yeah,
really good. I actually
appreciate
saw
that.
it twice. I saw it twice. I was like going back and I'm like, and it made a lot of sense. It makes me much more mindful, because it looks different for others,
Mhm.
especially I've heard of it, but if it wasn't for you too, I wouldn't really fully get a grasp of it. So you did and I hope that all of you who were watching were able to get a better understanding. And I love that Granny also mentioned that she doesn't see it as and I think you mentioned it as well, as something that's going to keep you from it's a bad thing. No, it's a great thing, and you should celebrate what you're doing with what you have, and go out there. It's just so wonderful. I loved what you said. You said a lot. So shout out to you both. That was really good. It's streaming, y'all. It's still there. You just click
Mhm.
it, Poetic Clinic, and you'll see the special autism, the Miss Cheesecake story, and Granny Wowzer's story. Is extraordinary. And I loved
It's
it.
also on YouTube too.
Yes.
Mhm.
Thank you, Granny. I got tested. Steph, we're having a little trouble listening. I think we're having the coquis over there. I think my coquis went over to Camden.
Hey, Granny, how you doing
I
this?
think check the noise cancellation. That sometimes happens because it's really choppy. It's okay. Listen, y'all, how many times that happened to me? Too many
Hey,
times.
it happens to the best of us.
It does. It does. I
There we
love
go.
it.
Granny, how you doing this evening? How's everybody doing? Here we go. We back. I'm
There
back.
we go. There's our gift.
Deaf poetry is back.
Yes,
Man,
we
this
Finally.
phone,
can't
the
move
phones and the
forward without
computers
it.
be sabotaging you. I swear.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, as smart as they are, they not that smart.
Sometimes
How you
they're
doing,
dumber
Granny?
than dirt. I'm doing
How,
pretty well. I'm doing pretty well. Now,
okay.
my hands are busy. I got a little dip here, a little dip there, and writing music and poetry, just going forth.
Shout out to
Yeah.
you because I've heard some pieces you've been working on lately, and not to mention all of y'all, everything y'all put out, is not only dope, but you guys put so much passion and love behind it. So shout out to you guys, snaps out to y'all, and
Mhm.
like Dr. Poetry was saying, it is Autism Awareness Month. And it's observed every April. It's dedicated to raising public understanding, acceptance, and support for individuals on the autism spectrum. Some key points: raising awareness to educate the public about what autism is and how it affects people differently. Acceptance, promoting inclusion and acceptance of individuals with autism in all areas of life, education, employment, and community. And you guys work as advocates, supporting efforts to improve policies and
Love it.
resources for autistic individuals and their families. Um, Autism awareness, it was first declared in 1970 in April. So look at us now. You know what I mean? Shout out to you guys being
Right.
advocates and raising awareness and spreading the education not only to your families but to the viewers and everybody here tuning in today. So big snap out to y'all for sure. Um,
Yes. Yes.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Now that you say that about bringing awareness and stuff, Granny shared with me a video. I'm just gonna play it, and then you guys tell me your opinion on everything. Okay, we go around the room and what you think about what this is about. All right,
Okay.
let's see. I want to, because I really want to. And the ones that are out there, you could email us and let us know what you truly think about what's happening with this.
yeah,
What's your
yeah.
opinion on this? What do you think about this situation?
Destroys families. More importantly, it destroys our greatest resource, which are our children. These are children who should not be suffering like this. These are kids who, many of them were fully functional and regressed into autism when they're 2 years old. And these are kids who will never pay taxes. They'll never hold a job. They'll never play baseball. They'll never write a poem. They'll never go out on a date. Many of them will never use a toilet unassisted.
You said autistic people would never pay taxes. I pay them every damn year. No help, just like everyone else. You said we'd never hold a job. I've held 3 at once just to make the rent, just to make life feel steady and for my children. You said we'd never write a poem, but this is a poem written by someone you never expected, someone you tried to erase with a single sentence.
Preach.
You said we would never use a toilet. Do you hear yourself? Do you know how cruel and careless that sounds? I'm autistic. I'm a mother. I wake up early. I pack lunches. I chase my son through the morning light with joy in my eyes and a fire in my heart.
My team couldn't do this.
You speak of us like we're absent, but I'm here. Louder than your doubt, stronger than your statistics, more real than your list of nevers. You reduce autistic lives to limits. I live limitless. You saw a burden. I see beauty. You saw brokenness. I see strength in every breath, in every meltdown, in every recovery, in every giggle from a boy the world told me not to raise, to have fear of what is a part of him, his autism. He's not a tragedy, he's a miracle, wrapped in motion, wrapped in rhythm, wrapped in the stars you'll never understand. You fear what you don't know. Autism is what you know not. I am the thing you thought couldn't exist. An autistic mother raising an autistic son without apology, without shame. I cook, I clean, I cry, I pay bills, I love hard. I do all the things you said autistics could never do. I'm not alone. I'm not a rare success story. Inside a reflection of the people you keep refusing to see. You don't speak for autism. You never did. You never tried to. Autistic is not your worst case scenario. Autism is not broken minds and borrowed bodies. It's living, raising families, writing futures while you write it autistics off. So I'm here, autistic, independent, loving, loud, tired sometimes, but present and powerful. And we are not going anywhere. Mr. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the shame of your family legacy, the shame of that name that you do not represent, like you do not represent autism.
Wow.
Can you tell I was a little upset?
You said it, girl. You said it all. You said it, young lady, woman. You
And I
so
these
proud
are
of you.
these that are following after the video are a list of all the other disorders that also cause regression in autism-like scenarios. So it's not just autism alone. There's several other disorders that can mimic autism, and people have put all this focus on autism being the one only causing regression and a million other things. I gave you a whole list, and I'm sure there's more. Those are just the ones that I'm aware of.
That was so informational. That's like so. That was, man. That to me was unambiguous. You left no room for questioning. Okay, you left no rooms for question. I don't feel like there's gray area anymore. It's like this. Did you hear that? Did you get it? First, for starters, Def, what do you think about that? What do you think
Um,
about what the politician, Mr. Kennedy, was saying?
it's unfortunately, that's his opinion. What bothers me is the push on to make that what it is.
Mhm.
So he's everybody's valid for their own opinion, but when you start pushing it on others to believe that that's what it is, that's where my problem lies. You
Well,
know,
it's
um,
yeah. I'm sorry.
and, and then at that his stance, his position, um it to me, it just baffles me when I see leaders, politicians, the leaders of this country, that they be talking out they excuse my French, but they be talking out their ass,
Yep.
right? And then
Yeah.
but
It's
then they
true.
expect more from you, the people, you know um and that just shows the ignorance and in that gentleman right there. To me, it's who knows. That's only one topic of how he feels about something. Who knows what else he feels slighted over, that that doesn't is not for the people, or
Right.
understanding. There's no empathy.
As you
Go
can tell, I
ahead.
can't wait to speak. I don't know why I asked you. I should have just went first because I'm like, "Nah." But let me just say,
But thank you.
half of what half of what you said, I agree. There's one thing. The problem with the opinion is that becomes law easily.
Mhm.
Right.
That's my problem with it. Okay? My problem is that it's not just an opinion or trying to make us, believe in it. It's actually it can come into law because I'm sure
Right.
that's what he's pushing.
Yeah.
Especially when you're mixing that with saying that because they don't pay taxes. Notice that that's where he's going with, because everything's about money. It's all about commerce.
Mhm.
It's all about
Exactly.
business. It's a corporation. The United States is a corporation. So anything to them that's like considered a liability, uh,
Mhm.
or a problem, then let's just consider it obsolete. They will
Absolutely.
never marry. They will never write poetry. They can't have a job. Notice these things. So what are they? What are we talking about here? They don't operate on batteries. So it was kind of like it was their way of saying, trying to convince, and we know who they're convincing, you know. I don't really agree with that. I'm not political. I am not. I don't. I'm not political. Well, maybe I am. I think I am political. I think I am political because
Just
when I
a
talk about Puerto
little
Rico,
bit.
I'm
Just a
passionate about.
little.
The
I'm
thing
just
is,
anti.
the
I'm about
view
social justice. That's what I'm saying,
the
Dev.
view
Like
the
I'm
view
about
that
that.
the view that he's looking at it is, and I'm a quote Temple Grandin, right? Temple Grandin, um
Mhm.
a very simple quote says, different, not less, right?
Absolutely.
So
Exactly.
he's you know that leader right there, he's basically making um making them look like they less.
Oh,
um,
there's more. He's what just off of that quote we just played of him just talking right there. Now he's got other people who are coming up with this new disorder called TDS. I don't know if you guys have heard about that yet.
Mhm.
It's not a real disorder. It's very
No.
fake. But
Mhm.
anyways, they're claiming that on people, and they're saying if you're high functioning autistic like I am, they're saying that we are fake. We're not really autistic. The only
Mhm.
real autistic people are the severe end, and that's dangerous because, like you said, Izzy, it comes into law. But it's not only dangerous because it comes into law. It's also dangerous because now we people like me, I have programs and stuff I utilize to help me live independent and and do things. I have a case manager. This is how you know somebody really has like been legally diagnosed. I have a whole medical team, case manager, people who check it, come to my home regular basis to make sure we're okay, not only for me but for my son too. I can lose all of that for myself.
Mhm.
And then if we're going to go to the severe end, what classifies as severe enough for them to give these programs to without
Exactly.
putting us in a facility?
Mhm.
That's a fear. And they've had there's a hot mic situation with a certain somebody, and they were even playing around with reopening mental health facilities and placing everybody there so they're out of sight, out of mind. And that's dangerous.
Absolutely.
That's what they did to us in the 70s and the 80s and before. With
Well,
Temple, the one you talked about, that's during her era, that's what was happening to people who were high functioning autistic or autistic period.
Mm-hmm.
right. I think a problem is, they're not. One thing I could say, for one, big shout out to you, Granny Wowzers. Big shout out to you, Miss Cheesecake, for embracing um autism, because for the way I look at it and the way you guys portray and put it out there, you guys are embracing it as an integral part of y'all identity. It's not
Yes.
something where you guys are being cured, and that's
Yeah.
one of the big problems also. They're looking at it like you need a cure rather than
Right.
it being a part of your identity. So big shout out to y'all first off.
I agree.
I think it's important.
Absolutely.
You know, I think it's important to include everybody into as the same in this society. That's how
Right.
that's how we get stronger. That's how we learn.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, they think their lives are worthless. It
right.
Absolutely.
was, and this person, he's the U.S. Health Human Services Secretary.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. He's the
Acting
one they
like,
placed in charge of autism for schools and everything.
right. But look what he says, because I was reading something on CNN.
Mhm.
I know I say I'm not political, but I was reading something on CNN, and this is at that conference where he was making those comments. Um, he said that the rising rate of autism in this country is an individual tragedy, right?
Right.
And
Wow.
and catastrophic for our country.
Right.
I think it's catastrophic for our country to make a remark like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I really do. I think you got to be crazy to say something like that. It's catastrophic to have people killing each other every day in the hood, but it's not catastrophic. It's catastrophic to you to see someone with autism and be able to function. Why don't we celebrate our strengths and not our weaknesses? Like, I don't
Absolutely.
get that part. I really don't. And this is why we in this problem. This is why this country has this problem, because we're always
Yep.
focusing on what we don't have and what we lacking, or child left behind. There's always an issue. Now, this is not me standing with any political party, disclaimer. But when I call things out, I call things out. This is
Well,
something I'm not for it.
I'll
Especially
save you on the political part. Some subjects have no political affiliation. It's just right or wrong. Period.
correct.
Facts.
And that's how I'm looking at a lot of this stuff. It's no longer are you the left or the right? No, it's
I don't
no
care.
party affiliation. This is wrong. Period.
Yeah,
Across
I
the
don't
board.
care.
It
I
doesn't
don't
matter what
care.
side you roll on.
I don't
It's
really
wrong,
care.
and wrong is wrong. Am I right, Miss Cheesecake? I mean, like, how do you feel about this?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, let me get this off my chest before.
Let's go.
Your piece was beautiful. What I gotta say
Absolutely.
to that, if standing on business was a person, that was you.
That was him.
I love the
Yeah.
delivery, the breakdown, everything.
Beautiful.
What he said was absolutely a disgrace. I really don't like when people try to put neurodivergent people in a box to try to make us fit in with the norm. What if it's a situation to where we're the norm and we're trying to expand your thinking?
That's what he's trying to say. It's becoming a tragedy because it's increasing. So it's the norm. So maybe you autistic. Maybe he should get checked out.
You
You know what
never
I
know.
Well,
mean?
I mean, they did say he had a brain worm or something like that at one time.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how much truth that is, but that's
Right.
that's the word going around.
It's like to say
But
a white lie and a little lie. You know what I mean? It's still a lie.
Mhm.
right, and here's the other thing too. It's only becoming more uh poignant or more upfront with the numbers of statistics is because we have better testing now. All the
Absolutely.
testing and stuff that we had back in the 70s when I was a child going through school, 70s and the early 80s, even the mid 80s into the 90s. was not like what we have right now. I
Mm-mm.
don't know how many times I told you in my autism piece that's on a poetic clinic, I was misdiagnosed so many times.
Mm-hmm.
Autism was introduced in there, but they never told me, and it
Mm.
wasn't well known. No, not everybody knew about autism then. So now we have the better testing. Now everybody knows about autism, but they still don't know about autism. They just know what they hear on TV and stuff. Well, they need to talk to actual autistic people. And
Mhm.
stuff like this man said is so harmful because now it makes those of us who are high functioning look like we're not
Nothing's
real people.
wrong.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that we're fine, but we still need services. I mean, what Miss Cheesecake, do you feel like at your age do you still need help in some
Absolutely.
areas?
There are absolutely needs that, like when the term special needs came out, it's automatically associated with those that are on the lower functioning of the spectrum. No, I have special needs myself. I have to have certain devices in order to keep me calm. There's certain things that I need to, keep me at peace. Things that I might need when I'm upset. I use different tools and gadgets and fidgets, and yeah, I have special needs, but it doesn't stop me from maintaining and living a regular life to
Right.
the best of my ability.
Right.
So
There you
yeah.
go.
Yeah, and when it comes to autism, there's different, there's a spectrum. There's a spectrum,
Hmm.
correct? So, um, you know, I'm gonna go. I'm looking up resources now too. You know what I mean? So, as of 2024, about 136 children in the U.S. is diagnosed with autism, according to the CDC. Right?
Hmm.
And some autistic people are non-speaking or use AAC, which is augmentative and alternative communication.
Yep.
That's what you hear in the background right now, the
Hmm.
AAC device.
Right, and that
Mm.
that right there, that can you speak on that a little bit more as far as the AAC device and
Yeah,
how?
it's basically an iPad with a program set into it to help them speak. You can still obviously this kid has learned how to. He's so smart. He learned how to find YouTube on his AAC device, which is only supposed to be speaking for him. But he's figured out how to do other things. But it what it does is it has a pattern of sentences and describes feelings and stuff. It helps them to learn communication.
Hmm.
So it not only speaks for them because he uses his regularly. It not only speaks for him, but it shows him different expressions, different feelings, and how to communicate that to me by tapping a button on the screen. And he'll literally tell me, tired or sick, ouch. I got an ouch, and I'll be like, "Where's your ouch?" And then he'll point because he understands that it's speaking for him. Once he
Hmm.
figured that out, like the whole world changed for him.
Wow.
And he's considered, and I hate to use these levels, but legally he's level 2, moderately severe,
Hmm.
which mean which is why he's still at 10 years old. He's still in diapers. I have to assist him with dressing clothes and stuff. But he does have levels of understanding.
Hmm.
Mentally, he's at 18 months old. So this
Okay.
AAC device is not only helping him communicate what he's feeling, and which level lessens the frustration. Because a lot of times with non-speakers, they have frustration because they can't communicate what they're feeling.
Hmm.
So it helps him with communication. It helps lessens the frustration, and it helps me know for sure that this is what he's feeling instead of guessing and jumping
Right.
around. I don't know. I really love the AAC devices. I see so much potential in it, and it's even helped him learn a few new words.
And
That's
So
that
good.
helps
I
him,
mean,
and that helps him with his sensory, right? Sensory sensitivities.
yeah,
Hmm.
with a lot of things.
Because I know, as far as the sensory, there's different, um, what's the word? As far as people have a different sensitivity to sensory. So some
Hmm.
of it might be audio, touch.
I I heard
Uh,
Miss Cheesecake mention something like that. You were talking about the
Yeah, I was
light,
just gonna
the
say, ask Miss Cheesecake.
sensitivity, and it's funny because I'm not I I've never been diagnosed with autism, right, or anything like that, but I am sensitive to the light. If you see me squinting a lot,
Yep.
I'm so sensitive to the light and loud noises.
Yep.
You know, but they say that's my fibromyalgia because that's what it does. It heightens the pain and stuff like that. So I could definitely understand, Miss Cheesecake, when you said that. I was listening to your conversation on the autism and certain things about the timing, the time at 8 o'clock. Like you mentioned that you were like, if something you get upset, or I actually was telling Granny, is she talking about us? She talking about the show?
I was like, no, I've heard her say this many
She
times
said,
before.
I was like, is she? But then I really watched and I was like, you know what? I could see that because the sensitivity to the light and to it's heightened.
Yeah.
Now I'm not autistic, not that I know of. I'm just saying. But when I hear that, I really truly understand I can't say I truly understand. That's a lie. I could imagine because right now I have this light that's back here. And if you see me going like this, and then if I do hear sunshine a little bit, but it almost feels like he's right here. It's not that he's bothering me, but it's that even or high pitched sounds like somebody goes.
Ooh, yep.
It gives me a headache. I just be like, take the floor. So when it comes to autism, my question is fairly simple. How do you manage that?
Ooh, who going first?
You, Miss Cheesecake,
How do you
that's your
manage that?
fault.
How do you manage that? Like that's really tough. So how do you manage that?
So for me, like I said, I didn't know in my youth that I had it. I didn't know I was on the spectrum. I just always thought that, I was different. Maybe I'm just a little sensitive to different things. And academically, I was soaring. So there was no testing being done for me based on the fact that I would be considered high functioning, one of the gifted students. So in my adulthood, once I did finally get tested and got a definitive diagnosis, I had to literally figure all of this out through YouTube, TikTok, and then I just started noticing different things that I was using to cope. Like for me, I like fidget spinners. I got ADHDers in the house, so I like fidget spinners. I like soft things, plushies, blankets, and stuff like that. If I'm feeling anxious or something, I have a squeeze ball. I'll go for a walk. I have an emotional support dog. When it comes to like lights, like the light I'm under right now is kind of dim. Anything brighter than that, I have a headache. Somebody, when you walk into a room and you turn the big light, the overhead light on without warning, I flip out. Like, oh my God, can you please turn that shit off?
I'm about to get tested. I get that. I catch an attitude with the guys at work because I'm in there all in the dark writing a report, and they're like, "Bloom," and I'm like, and it's like I catch an attitude, and then you guys, I wear shades a lot. I don't know if you know. I'm always with shades. I know the guys, you guys don't do that anymore, but I'll be looking for if you see me going like this, viewers, if you see me doing all this, it's because I'm looking for shades because I really have a situation with that and loud noises. Like I can't, it'll take my foggy, it'll make me crazy. So I really give you guys, like, how does that work when you go to the supermarket? This is why I was saying, like, that's what I'm talking about. Like Walmart, you know how it usually has, like, you can see the sun. Because I don't have a problem with the sunlight.
I don't really
weird.
go
It's
anymore.
the lights that bother me. Sunlight don't bother me. It's the light that bother me.
See, and it's the sunlight for me, the different rays of sunlight. Sometimes some parts of the day is brighter than other parts of the day. It doesn't matter if it's summer or spring. But like even my light I have on right now, I have an umbrella. I use a photograph light. So it has an umbrella and the umbrella softens the bright light so it's not so harsh on me but still illuminates enough. But going to Walmart, I quit doing it. I order everything. I order everything and have it delivered because I can't anymore. Well, for one, I'm with my autism too. I have panic disorder, which is a different disorder other than the autism. It's separate, but it's kind of tied in together too. And with everything going on right now, I'm in panic mode. So I don't want anybody around me right now. I have had my space around me. So I'm afraid that I'm gonna go out there and they're gonna pick me up and throw me in the ice van. So I don't want to go outside right now. I don't want to go outside. I go to my balcony and go back in. I rarely even go check my mail because the mailbox is a block and a half away. So I have everything ordered and delivered to me. When I have to take my sunshine to the doctors or something, it's literally there and back. We don't go
Literally.
anywhere else.
Wow. I
Wow.
Yeah.
can't imagine. I can't imagine what it's like in your shoes, Miss Cheesecake. I can only imagine, based off of your stories that your experiences that and how you guys share it. And respect to y'all. Respect to
Yep.
y'all for being such strong women. All of y'all, all three of y'all. Um,
Yeah,
it's
man.
it's I'm blessed. I feel blessed to be
Me
to
too.
be around y'all. Before we get into some kick ass poetry from Granny West stepping into her world, I'd like to share with the viewers some autistic led organizations as well that you guys could check out. ASAN is the Autistic Self Advocacy Network. Is led by and for autistic people, focuses on disability rights and inclusion. Um, Another one is Autism Women and Non-Binary Network. It's AWN. It's an intersectional, gender inclusive, and affirming space. Also, you have Neural Classic, a blog collection with personal stories and expert commentary from autistic writers, y'all. And another resource here it is. It's Thinking Person's Guide to Autism. It offers clear, respectful, and research-based guidance. So
That's right.
anybody out there that's viewing, check those organizations out. It's a lot of information, a lot of good information on there for you guys to check out and spread awareness.
Thank you, Def. Let me just say thank you with that. Thank you for that, Def, because
That was
it's a
awesome.
concrete example that you don't have to be autistic to help. You don't have to be autistic to spread awareness. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
My beloveds down here are definitely doing the damn thing when it comes to it. But if we can offer a platform where we can provide awareness, right? Advocacy, I say let's go for it. I appreciate you, Def, for that.
Hmm.
Um, because when I was able to hit the playback and sit there and put the produce the autism special, I was able to understand Miss Cheesecake a lot better. I was able to understand Granny a lot better because you'd be surprised. I was like, oh shoot, that makes sense. Oh damn, okay. Like I was like, I stand corrected. There's a lot of things that I understand now. We don't know everything.
Mm-mm.
Especially we come with our vernaculars, we come with the way we talk, and we got to be mindful because, see, you guys do such a great job in handling your autism that we forget you have autism.
Mm-hmm.
You got to understand that. This takes planning. This takes timing.
I hear
Having
that
a
a lot.
show like this, having a show like this, I don't know how you do it, but Miss Cheesecake talked about that. She hit it right. She was like, the timing, everything is like, and I was like, but I feel like that, but it's
Mm-hmm.
different. It's like something I had told Bree. I was like, am I ADHD? Because I have a lot of things, but no, it doesn't necessarily. Because there's certain things that you would be like, no, there's certain things, and it's and when I heard you guys talk about what you were talking about, especially when Granny explained how at the beginning, the way in the 70s that you couldn't sit still. And I
Mm-hmm.
understand that because back in the 70s, they put you on a different floor
Yep.
in school. You were let out at a different time, and you
Mm-hmm.
ate lunch with different people.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always kind of like almost retard. They used to use those words back in the day.
That's what they called me
Right.
for years. That was
That's what
my
they use. That's what they.
diagnosis.
So my thing is, back then they used words like that. Now we're using different words, and now we're going backwards to say that with the bringing it back to this Kennedy, bringing it back to going backwards and start using words like worthless, because that's what you're basically saying. In other words, I'm a paraphrase. He didn't say that word, but if you're saying that they can't do this, they can't do that, they don't pay taxes, what are you calling them? Worthless.
Exactly.
Right. Right.
So yeah, so it's a step back. I pray that he gets enlightened and he understands that that's not going to happen. There's nothing we can do about that except be better. And I like that you always say, I'm not a like. I just want to get to your song because I want to get to this song if that's okay. because this song, I've named it the anthem of autism because it's basically saying she's autistic and what happened. I wish this man could listen to this song. I mean, maybe we can invite him over, right? And have a conversation with him.
Ooh, that'll be
I
I
would like
would
that. You want to come,
love to speak to him. Mr. Kennedy, if you're watching, let's have
right?
a
Because
convo.
maybe he needs that though. I'm not trying to be
Oh
naive or
no.
anything like that, but
And you know
sometimes
what?
you'd be
I thought
surprised.
about that too. Sometimes they just don't
You'd be
know because
surprised
they've
how
never experienced.
you need to be in. Listen, I'd rather say I don't know and pretend to act like I know. And I say this all the time. I'd rather be what they call quote unquote stupid for 1 minute than stupid all my life.
That part.
I'm okay not knowing. I'm okay. I didn't know. Like I don't know about. I said it. I don't know about autism, and I say it all the time. I heard about it. I know people who are, but for me to step in, like that song, step into the world, like my world, like that is a big deal. You have to have empathy. It's basically saying, step into my shoes, put on my shoes, close your eyes. And you did a good job with that, Miss Cheesecake, as well. When you went in, you said the makeup and you didn't have no makeup, and you know, it looks like what it looks like for you. You don't want to get out of bed. You in your way. But
I
if
promise
nobody
you,
knows,
I was
but it,
listening and I was like, me too.
but if you don't know that, if you don't know about that, a person's gonna look at you like, what the hell's wrong with her?
Yep.
What's up with her? And that's why autism, right? That's how it looks behavioral.
Yes, it
It's
does.
not.
Ooh, it's not.
So as a criminologist, right? Because I've studied criminology, that's my degree. I understand that that's how things started with crime. They would label it mentally. You know, you were a criminal. They were all mental,
Yep.
right? So I understand that if you don't understand the psychosocial of a person, and then you start asking for the characteristics that they're displaying, you cannot diagnose, but you could start, and you talk about this too, behavioral patterns.
Mm-hmm.
You start seeing certain things. So if there's a pattern, now we got to get evaluated because there's a pattern, right? It fits the criteria for certain things. So as I listen, and I listen, and I'm like, you know what? That's crazy. I didn't even know that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. So all I'm saying is shout out to you. It was very informational, and we all work together. So it's good to know.
Absolutely.
It's good to know because I'm oblivious to a lot of things. And I was saying this to Grant. I was like, I don't know. There's a lot of things I didn't know. About the lights, I was like, you better get checked out. That's fibromyalgia. Meanwhile, no, that's autism too.
Mm-hmm.
It mimics it because it's neurological. See,
Yep.
fibromyalgia is neurological. I get the fogs. I Dev could tell you to, that's why I was like, Dev, take the floor. Because I was all day today. The minute we doing a song and we're like, and I was like, what did I say? And it's not that I know what it is. It's a fog. It feels like your head is being crushed and
Mm-hmm.
you can't remember. And I'm going through that, but I have episodes. It's not like I go through it all the time,
Right.
especially if I had a really rough work week. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that's how you know there's a difference between the autism or ADHD, because I do work in a high stressful job, so that
Mm-hmm.
kicks off the fibromyalgia, right? But if nobody knew, they would be like, "Is she autistic?" You
Mm-hmm.
know, sometimes I have my moments that I think I'm Tourette's. Is it Tourette's? We
Me.
have Tourette's.
Yeah, it's correct.
Tourette's, right? 'Cause I'll be telling, I'll be like, "What the?" And I'm sorry, and then I'm just normal.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, I think I got Tourette's and I literally do that. And but you know, I know I don't, but it looks like it. Yeah, it
You
really
be
does.
having
It.
little
You
moments.
went.
That's okay.
Yeah. Right
He said,
before
yeah. He said because you
We'll
heard me, right?
accept you. I mean,
right
we'll
before
accept you.
right before we jump into this next one, I do want to share with the viewers. If you guys are into reading, if you guys are into books, here's some authors that are also autistic. Steve Silberman. A book he's written is called Neural Tribes.
Mm,
Um,
Neural Tribes. That's a good one.
Dr. Devon Price.
It's really good.
Dr. Devon Price. He has a book called Unmasking Autism. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you have Naoki Higashida, The Reason I Jump, and that's a non-speaking autistic author, by the way.
Mm.
So
He
What?
used the
you
AAC device to do it for him.
ain't no
I know
limit,
that story.
ain't no
Yeah.
limits now. And also watch out for Eric Garcia. He has something written. It's called We're Not Broken. We're Not Broken. These
Wow.
amazing creators and artists and writers. So there's no limit to what anybody can do.
I
And
like that.
some people might learn visual rather than audio.
Mhm.
Some people might read a book through the visual, not through actually reading it, through the words. So
Hmm.
you can't really put anybody lower than anybody else because you're not looking at their strengths.
That's facts.
That's
Mhm.
right. That's very true.
So you guys are all amazing. If you guys haven't checked out those books, that are viewing right now, please check those out. Check out the audio books or just go get the hard copy, y'all. You know what I mean?
Who wrote Unmasking Autism?
Dr. Devin Price.
Dr. Devin Price?
Yes.
And who wrote Neural Tribes?
Neural Tribes was written by Steve Silberman.
Silberman. That's who it was.
Silberman.
Silver? Like silver, like gold silver?
With
No,
the B, I think.
like silver, like if you said it wrong, silver.
Like you Puerto Rican? Silver.
Yeah.
Pretty
Silver,
much.
man.
Yeah.
Silver.
But
You want a lean bit, Silver?
Silver? Yeah, like that.
I got you.
Well,
Neural
what
Tribes.
was the one about learning to fly?
The Reason I Jump.
Yeah, the reason I jumped. That one is so good. I got it from the library, and they did. I think they did a documentary or a movie on it too. But that one's definitely worth reading because that was all done through an AAC device. No speaking, no handwriting, all AAC device.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like the title, We're Not Broken. I forgot to
Yeah.
ask you who wrote that. Who wrote that?
We're Not Broken. We're Not Broken was written by Eric Garcia.
Eric Garcia. That's who I knew it was Latino, but I didn't know the name. All right. These are good things. I just want to kind of have that in the side. So if anyone calls and say, what's his name? What's this and that? We have that information. And you never know. Those are good stuff. Stocking stuffers, like I used to say back in the day. My sister's husband, son is autistic.
Mm-hmm.
My sister's stepson, or I hate to say stepson, but their son, I guess, because that's from her husband's his first wife. They have a son. Shout out to Justin. He's autistic, and back to that song that I want to play for Granny and for Miss Cheesecake and for Death and for all those viewers out there. I want y'all to have a good time and listen to this because, to be honest with y'all, I call this the anthem of autism, y'all. Y'all ready? Shout out to Granny Wowzers, y'all. Snaps out.
It's my part, yeah, let me shine. Ain't no cure needed, I'm doing just fine. Perfectly limitless, can't box me in. Not a puzzle piece, never needed to fit in. Infinite vibes, infinite ways. Unapologetic, I don't need to be swayed. I was born to stand out, never fade. So why you trying to fit me in a world you made? I'm a dopest, it's realistic. Till the skies, I'm autistic. See me driving, yeah, you wishing, but I took with no permission. Y'all reach for me, but I set the tone in my own world. Still hold the tone. See you watching, yeah, you jealous, low key. Wishing you could move as slick as me. I ain't gotta fit, I make my space. Rewrite the rules out on my pace. See the world in a whole new light. Different don't mean wrong, it just mean right. Step in my world, open your mind. Limitless vision, I'm one of a kind. Ain't no shame, just let me be. Unapologetically autistic, fully me. Hear me. step in my world, open your mind, limitless vision, one of a kind. Ain't no shame, just let me be. Unapologetically artistic, fully me. Fully me. It's realistic, no disguise. I'm autistic, see me thriving. Yeah, you wishing, but I move with no permission. Step in my
Man. Oh,
Yeah.
Come on now.
I
I'm
feel pretty
autistic.
proud about that one.
Oh, and
That's
shout
the
out to
anthem right there.
Sunshine. Sunshine, sunshine, sunshine. Shout out to Sunshine for
Shout out to
real.
Sunshine.
And to
Granny,
King
He's
just
right,
forgot
right there.
You forgot you did that.
No, I know I did that. I'm actually pretty proud of it because
That was
You
good.
should be.
I've never done like that form of music before. Usually it's ballads or, like a poppy type of song. So this was like way out my comfort zone.
Good.
But it just kept coming together. It just kept coming together. And I was like, I like that. I like that. Let me put this. I like that.
But it was
And
the
it just kind
passion.
of came out.
It was the passion, Granny. You had that
Absolutely.
passion because that you stand like Cheesecake said, you standing on it. Like that
Mhm.
is you are like when I think of autism, I think of you when it comes to like really standing. I see you really taking this far. Like I really
Mhm.
do. You are speaking for Sunshine and for so many, and same thing as Miss Cheesecake. You guys are doing the damn thing, and I mean it. This is why I am so honored to have you guys on here and do the poetic clinic and using it for the voices that are not being heard out there.
Absolutely.
You are representing so many people. It's a big responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge responsibility and it weighs on our shoulders. But when you know that you've walked the walk, you're doing the work, you're figuring it out, like you're figuring things out right now. Because every day there's something new. Like right now, this is the new current event, Mr. Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow, but there might be great things like we have that gadget that I'm fogging up. I know it's AC something. The little thing that you guys
AAC device.
AAC device. Okay. That is a concrete example that technology is also helping many, many autistic people,
Absolutely.
the community, right? Children and everyone. So it's the same thing as when anyone was considered, I don't know what's the correct term, forgive me what I'm about to say, but ASL for the deaf, right?
Mm-hmm.
Braille for the blind. This is another resource that we're using to help. So I don't understand another tool. How is it that we're just gonna write them off?
Exactly.
I sometimes don't want to listen to stuff like that. I wouldn't give him the time of day or promotion, but because I understand how much this means to you guys, and it means a lot to Granny, it means a lot to you, Miss Cheesecake. I really felt like, yeah, this is one of those topics we have to have because just when you think it couldn't happen, it might just happen.
Oh,
Because
of course.
we're living at different times now. We're living like what I consider ridiculous. They consider it like, no, we got to do it. And I'm like, how? Like, how could you do something like this? But yeah, that was dope. Granny,
I don't know about Miss Cheesecake, but for me, I really doing all of this stuff like the TV show, for you viewers out there and everything. I'm just trying to give you a different perspective of autism than what you have in your mental. People think there's a look or a way they act and all of those things. A lot of people don't know I'm autistic unless I tell them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not alone. Like I would never have known Miss Cheesecake, unless she told me. But it's just like that kind of thing. Like you might have a glimpse or an inkling, but it's never like known like it is now.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm just hoping to give people a different view and a different perspective and a different thought process on what autism could be. And from my autism to my son's autism to somebody who's got more challenges than both of us, you know, and that kind of, and then Miss Cheesecake, your video of explaining everything, I'm not kidding. I was in the kitchen going, me too, me too. The whole night wanting to get ready. I'm plain Jane all day. I put makeup on to do this stuff. I don't ever wear
Absolutely.
makeup.
I love makeup. I was listening to you. I was like, why? I was like, why? I love
But
my
there,
red lipstick.
there
No,
is some girls out there and some women who do excellent makeup and they're autistic too, and they like got it down to
True.
the T.
right,
I'm just not one of those.
right.
Me neither. I'll be looking
What
like Ronald McDonald. Mm-mm.
I love my lipstick. And I was listening to you when you said, oh my God, what was it? See, I'm having some brain fogs. I just had the thought. You were talking about how it's it's almost, oh, I said, wow, I didn't even know that. You said, you know, when you see me bubbly and everything, that's my manic part. I was
Yep.
like, word, I didn't even know that. I'm over there, yeah, Miss Cheesecake. Meanwhile, she's manicking. Like, I'm using a word, I'm making it up. Like,
Mhm.
if you're on the manic, like, it's because I remember bipolar back in the day was called manic depressive
Depressive
disorder.
disorder. Hmm.
Right. I understand that part. But I didn't understand. I didn't know that. And I'm listening to you, and you're like, yeah, when you see me all hyper and bubbly, and I'm all there, that's because and I'm like, I would have never known that
Hmm. Yeah, when I'm
because
in a bubbly spirit and stuff, and I'm just real excited and stuff, I'm usually manic. Like this right now is chill me. This is me
Mhm.
most of the time. This is the gray area. Either I'm super hyped, super bubbly, like I am right now, or I'm depressive, like I'm not in the mood for anything.
Even
So
with
when
that,
you see me bubbly, oh, I'm turned. I'm feeling great. I'm manic.
even with that, do you feel like there's a lot of common, like, you feel like there's a lot of misconceptions
Absolutely.
with autism and people that, are not autistic, or let's say people looking from the outside, and there's a lot of misconceptions. A lot of people probably don't feel that anybody with autism doesn't feel any emotions.
Oh, definitely. It's
You,
always a situation to where like people that are on the spectrum always get categorized as not having emotions or being overly emotional.
yeah,
It's usually a situation to where like what we just heard with the RF Kennedy, um, worthlessness, depression, things of that nature. There's a constant misconstrue of things with neurodivergence and the ands.
I think he's
So
the one with the intellectual disability. If
uh-huh.
you think about it,
I
so
agree.
I think he's the one with the disability as far as
I
intellectual wise.
agree.
Hmm.
I agree. I do think there's something a little something there, Mr. Robert F. Kennedy. Maybe you should
just
get
a little
tested.
bit, just a
Find
little bit.
out. It's worth it.
Hmm.
It'll answer a bunch of your questions, or maybe it was a worm. Who knows?
It's definitely interesting to look into it, because like a common misconception is that people think it's something that needs to be cured, and it's really it's a different way of experiencing the world.
Hmm.
Uh, and by you guys talking about it, I'm experiencing that, y'all, learning more, um,
I agree.
just as far as the characteristic, uh, and one thing I didn't realize is that no two people with autism are the same.
No,
Absolutely.
Nobody is the same. That's so dope.
Hmm.
That makes you a superhero in a sense. Like, you got something, like you zoned in, you tuned in something, that ain't nobody really tapping into. Uh,
Hmm.
and it's interesting. It's very interesting. Um, I think people should have these conversations more. I think
Absolutely.
why not have a lunch and talk? Sit down, have lunch, and talk about these things. Bring this to the schools, bring this to your families. Sit down and have these talks, because I think a lot of communication, leads to disagreement, uh, way people view you.
I
Uh,
agree. It's getting these people to actually listen.
That part.
And that's the huge issue, because when I told my family, because like I said, I've been misdiagnosed multiple times.
Mhm.
And then I got re-diagnosed as an adult with autism spectrum disorder after my son. So, and telling the family that's left about everything, they kind of brushed me off. Like,
Mhm.
we
It's
don't
always a
care.
disregard.
We don't care. You're still the weird one. Like,
Mhm.
get it together. But the main issue I have, which I'm really grateful to have this platform on, the Alliance Network and on Dr. Poetry's Hear Me Out Poetry, because even online, like Facebook, it really goes to battle. They want to tell me how I should be, receiving John F. Kennedy. They're telling me how to be and what to do with my child when they don't have any children in the game.
Exactly.
They have no foot in the game, and I just had a conversation with a lady, and she ranted and told me a new one, telling me how much of a horrible parent I am, and that there should be somebody, child services, coming to take my son because I
Wow.
don't. Yeah, she got deep, and it was because I don't believe in this new possible testing on autistic kids, and other suggestions that Robert F. Kennedy has thrown out there. He hasn't said anything in stone, but he's throwing out ideas.
Mhm.
And I said, absolutely not. And she said, oh, what a horrible parent you are. Somebody should take your child from you. And then in the end, after giving me this huge lecture, she ends it with, oh, but I don't know. I don't have any children that have autism.
That she knows of.
Right.
And I'm just like, well, if you don't have
Now,
your foot in the game, how are you going to tell me how to be?
I have a
And
question.
that's where the danger comes in. Go ahead, Deb.
I have a
Sorry.
question, y'all. Mr. K, Granny, um, have you guys in your years, um, have you guys experienced or have you guys ever had to mask or masking? Term masking, right? You guys are aware of that, right?
Mhm.
Um, is it something that you guys, had to do more often earlier in your years, or is it something that you guys still do now? And those that don't know what masking is, it's when an autistic person hides their traits to fit in.
Yep.
Uh, it can be exhausting, and over time, it can be harmful,
Mhm.
mentally and physically. So, you guys that don't know, um, you
Miss
know,
Cheesecake, you can
can
take
you
it.
guys educate me? Can you guys give us some examples on masking, how that
Absolutely.
affects your child?
Um, so masking, I've done that the majority of my life. I want to say within the last 3 years or so, I'm just now getting to a space to where I don't do it as much. I still do it. So examples of what that would look like. If I'm having a bad day, you'll never know. I'm gonna make you laugh. We're gonna talk. We're gonna have a great conversation. It's gonna be a great vibe. If I'm anxious, I'm more talkative. I'm more bubbly, and that also coincides with the ands of the other disorders. But usually when it's a situation to where a neurodivergent person is masking, you'll never know they're in pain, you'll never know they're stressed, um, and we do things to kind of mimic you in a way. So if we hear you having a conversation about something that's very interesting and fascinating to everybody else, we might not like it, but we're going to join in to fit in. That's
Mm,
an example. To
Wow.
kind of be adaptive to the conversation instead of doing what I would want to do, which is to blurt out something completely random and a fact of quantum physics today in modern society, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to come off as the weird one. So, yes, when you are having conversations with neurotypical people, you will find yourself masking.
interesting. Thank
Wow.
For me,
Amazing,
my
though.
my type of masking is I mimic speech.
Yep.
And when I hear people speak in a certain way, say you got this massive country accent, all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden I got a country accent.
Yep.
You have a deep Hispanic accent, all of a sudden I'm like, que linda.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
Okay.
wait, I heard you. I heard you do something the other day. I
Yeah.
heard you. Can I say
And
it? I
here's
told Daph, I said, I got her saying, I'm gonna keep it a buck. When
Yep.
I heard you say I'm gonna keep it a buck, I said, Granny, you sound like you from the Bronx. She said, that's dope.
I pick up language from other people and phrases. And here's the thing is, not all the time do I catch it. I do catch it a lot, and I'll correct myself and not repeat it. I'm self-aware, but most of the time I don't, and it's not even a thought process. I'm not trying to copy somebody. I'm not purposely doing it. No, I have to explain it because, the audience members, they probably run into a lot of people who do the same thing, not knowing that it's masking.
Yeah.
So it's more than just trying to fit in. It's just an uncontrollable thing that we do, and that's what makes making music hard for me, because if I hear something and then I'll go to record something original, I sound like this other person over here because it was stuck in my head. So it's a form of masking. It's not something I do purposely, but I do that a lot. Like this accent, this is me. This is me this is my Oakland City Bay Area, but that's me. And people challenge me on that too. And I'm like, I can mask and talk like, hello, ma'am, how are you today? I can do that. Or what do they call that? Code switching or something like that. I don't remember what they call that. But it's kind of like that in a way. But with masking, you do it without even thinking. It just naturally happens. You pick it up. I don't know Russian from left field, but if somebody's speaking Russian, all of a sudden I got this deep Russian accent. And I might even pick up a word or two that they're speaking. That's my form of masking. And it's not something I can control, but I am aware of it.
Wow. I think you control it very well, though, by the way.
You do.
I think the fact that you say, like, when you catch yourself doing it, you're like, okay. I think we were having a conversation off the show and behind the scenes, and I remember we talked about even ADHD, that sometimes people pick up and say that it's not the me too or I do too, but it's almost like you pick that up as well. It feels like that. It comes off like that. You also mentioned anyone with autism, excuse me, also is diagnosed with a different situation, right? They have often is accompanied by another
multiple disorders.
Multiple disorders. Okay, what is the most common? And I know we got more poetry, but what is the most common? This is such a great topic. I'm just telling you. Shout out to the autism awareness and this information. Def, thank you for bringing that to light. A lot of the things. Granny, thank you, Miss Cheesecake, for real. What are the most? And I don't want to keep taking this away because I think I heard Miss Cheesecake says she's gonna talk about the ands, but just for me, what are the common accompanied disorders that go with autism? The most common.
ADHD, autism, ADHD, anxiety disorders, obsessive compulsive disorder, Rett syndrome, and I'm trying to think of the other one. It's so much.
You did say some of them. Granny Wowzers had mentioned them earlier, but I wanted to know the most common. And so you say ADHD, anxiety, and OCD.
Bipolar too. Runs with that one. And depression.
Depression.
And
depression is big, and it's big with the masking as well, right? You guys
absolutely
barely because of that, because you guys are almost holding in, holding it in. That's interesting. Wow.
Man, that's a lot. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I think you guys got to touch up on this on Poetic Clinic a lot more.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I think we need to hear that. But so I want to go back to the makeup. So when people don't wear makeup, because I know a lot of folks don't wear makeup or whatever. That's just neither here or there. That's just perspective. But when it comes to autism, is that a thing that most autistic people don't wear makeup? Women don't wear makeup, or it's just there are autistic people that wear makeup?
Yeah, it depends on it. This is where it comes.
And I don't mean makeup because I wear lipstick. I'm talking about lipstick. I'm a big lipstick girl.
This goes back to the individuality.
But I'm not piled up. I'm talking about makeup, like all that stuff.
There's some amazing autistic makeup artists out there they do the eyelashes. I mean, to the nine. It really, this is where the individuality comes in.
This
We
is the
all
part that
have,
I wanted to
yeah,
ask you.
we have
This is
our own personalities, our own, interests. Go ahead.
But this
Sorry.
is why I'm bringing that up. I'm bringing it up because I know makeup art is art, right? And
Mhm.
the first time I ever heard of the word autistic or autism was back in the 80s when I saw a movie called Rain Man with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
That he had to go to Kmart to get his underwear. And the
Mhm.
way they made it was like he was repetitive. He needed structure. I understood those things. It was like a routine, and that was something that kept on. He didn't look at. There was no eye contact.
Mhm.
I remember watching the thing. Now I know it's a movie. They probably took or added, but what was clear to me was that he was a genius.
Yes.
That was what I would never forget the movie because I was like, wow,
Mhm.
the numbers. Like they would emphasize how his ability to calculate and remember things, and just so a lot of that comes with hyper concentration. Forgive me, like when
Hyper
you're
focus.
hyper
Mhm.
focus, hyper concentration, focus, hyper
Same thing.
focus, right? Hyper focus, and that's why I think of the makeup.
Mhm.
Because I don't know if you understand. Like sometimes I'll have a drink. Let's say if I have a drink, I'm gonna
Mhm.
be focused more. Sometimes I don't drink a lot. I don't because I have two and I'm already like I'm going to sleep. But even just I don't know how to explain it. I'm feeling nice. Like I'm just you focus. You more
Mhm.
without it. I'm focused. I can't even imagine autism because autism allows you to, and I don't know, but this is what I heard. So
Mhm.
correct me. What is it that they have? Because I think it's a genius. Autism is genius. When you said about the music, when I heard you singing that song, I was like, she's in there. She's seeing everything. I felt like that's what was happening, and maybe I'm wrong, but like even the music, it was not only your passion, but you were in your element that created that, and I really believe that's a super like. I mean it. I'm not blowing up
Superpower.
because you're in front of me, but that shit was dope. You know what I mean? It
Mm.
came out of nowhere because you do a lot of ballads, and it was so out of your element that when you were doing that, even the bum 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 bum, like you were like that was you. You said you did
Mhm.
that, like that was
Yeah,
your
that's
voice.
all me.
That is some like whoa, it came out of nowhere. Like you kicked the door down with that, and I'm like, okay, could it not come out of nowhere? It
It
wasn't you.
didn't. That was actually a great example of masking. You
Yep.
know how I'm in the room with DJ Chili Chill in the Birdhouse. Well, they're always playing a lot of hip hop, a lot of mixtures and stuff, and I listen, and they stick in my brain. So then when I was writing a song, I wanted to write something about like I don't need to. I had the vision already of step into my world. That was already there, but I didn't know how I was going to do it. And listening to them in the Birdhouse and all the DJ mixes and everything, it just came. And then
Mhm.
I'm playing with my board, and I just started going, well, I hear bong 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 bong, and I was like, let me do it, bong 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 bong
But
bong
you
bong
did
bong.
the beat,
I
that
did
beat.
it
What is it?
all.
The whole beat and everything.
Yeah,
That's what I
Wow.
mean about autism. See,
Mhm.
So
I'm sorry, but
but there we're not all like that. That's the other part too. When I was hearing you talk about like genius and all this stuff, there's a lot of not everybody has the superpower. Some don't have it. Some are the complete opposite, where they're very minimalist. Everything is just very simple.
Mhm.
so you think it has to do with because I had this conversation with some people. Um, do you think that it has to do also with like, for instance, I grew up. I'm giving you an analogy. Has nothing to do with mental health, but it has to do with behavior. I
Mhm.
grew up in the hood, right? I grew up in the South Bronx, hood, like hood, right?
Mhm.
Um, Yet I grew up with a mom that was cultivating and always there, making sure that I didn't stay hood, right? Because
Mhm.
you were hood because we're in the hood, but we wanna when we get out, we wanna be able to, elevate. And because we had that the family factor that you're there helping them and trying to help them, they pick up. Not that you're gonna pick up on being a musical genius. I wouldn't use. I know I use the word genius, but you will hyper focus on something that you're good at.
Mhm.
Like for instance, it could be a video game. It could be I feel like everyone, I'm not saying that you're going to be a genius, a prodigy, but there's something that I feel that I've come across we're dealing with certain, not everybody, but certain folks that are autistic that
Mhm.
have something that's like, and I know this would say, well, all of us have that. We all have a talent, but
Mm-mm, it's a
one is
little
a little
different.
beyond, right? It's above beyond what the norm, right?
Mhm.
And so, especially when I hear worthless, I'm like, you're so stupid. Like, you know what I mean? Like, goodbye. Because there's some highlight, amplified talent that each one has. We
Yes.
may not see it. It could be a makeup artist. It could be a poet. It could be a beat maker. It could be so many things. Wordsmith, the most articulate. And some people, that's what I'm saying. Could it
That's
be
right.
that?
And
Could it be that one? Maybe you
I
understand my
believe
question?
that. I
It
feel like,
can be. Yeah.
I believe
Sorry.
that.
Go ahead, Miss Cheesecake.
I do believe that each neurodivergent person has at least one thing that they do hyper focus on, and they're really good at it to the point that it's regular to them, but it's a superpower to somebody else. Like, for
As
example,
divergent. That's what
Right.
I'm saying.
for example, music, poetry, what else? Anything that has to do with either being physical or some form of art. If it's a situation to where this is something that you do on a regular basis just to get you through the day, and somebody else sees you doing that, like you just painted something, and it looks like Basquiat, like okay,
Right.
okay, you're giving Van Gogh, like, and no, this is what I do on a regular
Right.
basis.
it's
So
a
this
Right.
is what I enjoy.
And I'm tired. I did this because I don't feel good anyway. You know what I mean? Imagine when you're like, oh, I do this every day. This old dress, I made this. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like, it's like nothing. It's
Hmm.
so effortless. It's like they
Yeah.
weren't even trying.
No.
That's what I mean. And
hey
I feel
y'all,
like you do that,
Albert
Granny.
Einstein. Albert Einstein. Here's what Albert. You got Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton,
Right.
Nikola Tesla, Emily Dickinson.
Hmm.
Ludwig Wittgenstein, Michelangelo.
Hmm.
All of these were considered. They weren't diagnosed then because it didn't exist in a sense. But when they did studies and they look back at these, revolutionary individuals, um, they were all autistic in their own way.
They called them eccentric. Like
Yeah.
that. They were eccentric.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm autistic because, Bree calls me eccentric. I'm eccentric.
I think we all got a little bit of autism.
Just a little bit.
Weird. And then weird, right, is another one.
Yep.
When
Oh
you
my
hear
God.
weird and eccentric, that's why I be like, what do you mean?
I
It's like
still hear
almost saying
weird.
you look eccentric or you're weird. And when I look up the etymology of weird, I said this before, I don't care. I've said it before. Feel free to copy paste. Weird means the ability to control your fate,
That part.
the ability to change your destiny, to control your own destiny.
Yeah.
And you got that power, the power to control your. Call me weird every day.
Please do. I love it.
I'm weird. And don't call me just weird. Mrs. Weird. Okay.
Put some respect on it.
Yeah, I like
You're,
that. I like that. That's the etymology behind it. I was like, really? That's what it means? Well, damn, that's great. Eccentric. Oh, I'm eccentric. I love that. And I love that we looking at autism through the lens of it's not an impediment. And I
no.
love that. I love that. I love that, y'all.
It's
I mean, sure.
limitless possibilities. That's why you'll hear me say I put it on everything. Limitless possibilities. Even for the severe cases, like my son, I don't put a limit on him because we mature too, just like everybody else matures. They might have a certain age limit that they might be stuck at, but we mature, and with maturity comes more abilities. And if you're willing to tap
Right.
into their world, it becomes limitless possibilities. We don't know how far we can get somebody to get to. Most of the time, it's just attention and pouring into them and reaching into where they're at. Find their level, reach into their world at their individual space and place, and then it's limitless. We don't know what we can pull out. So I put no limits on my son. They say one thing, I say, okay, so what's the next step to help me get him to where he's limitless?
Absolutely.
That's your baby.
Mm-hmm.
That's your baby. And with that, we have something called, can you say it for us?
Let me see.
She said, "My baby."
Oh yeah, my baby. My baby.
That's her. We're
That's
gonna
my
get to
baby.
that. We're gonna get to this beautiful piece, and I almost cried, y'all. So I'm with y'all. This is beautiful. This is Granny Walters, y'all.
Sometimes it be like that. Waking up at midnight, heart racing, panic mode, dodging the bite, still semi asleep, just trying to protect myself. It's not my first rodeo. I've been through this before. But the difference is, this time, it's my son. He doesn't know any better. He's waking up in a nightmare, fighting something thinking it was me, not realizing what he's really doing. I got a split second to remember, this is my baby. I can't react, can't defend. I have to soften, hold, calm, until he knows it's mommy. It's definitely not easy, but he's my baby. Now we're up. Midnight turned into 3. No sleep for the weary, but it's my duty. I'm his protection, his calm, his reason. I gotta be his off switch when the panic sets in. Sliding the daybed in front of the door again. You wanna know why I'm always tired? Because I'm fighting to keep him. Once he's calm, diaper changed, maybe we'll sleep again. Or sometimes that's when the day just begins. Still, he's the light in my darkness. I need him more than he needs me. It's more than the autism. People only see the one thing, not the whole, not the ands. But no matter what, he is forever mama's baby, and I love him.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Very.
That is beautiful, and
And
it
we love him
snaps
too.
not to you.
And we love
Snaps
him
not.
Yeah.
We exactly, man. That is, man. When I tell you that, that is in my like I have a lump in my throat because Granny, I know you do a lot. We know
Oh,
that. Just like Miss Cheesecake does a lot, but you have a lot. I love what your breakdown on the Robert F. Kennedy when you said not only 1, 2, 3 jobs. You know, you do so much. Um, and you advocate at the same time and you still find the energy to do so. And I'm probably hard on some folks because I say things like that. I'm like, Granny got all this stuff going on and she does all this stuff. And so does
Everybody
Miss
does that
Cheesecake.
to
Like,
me.
because I feel like, you know, it brings me back to a time where I remember just being in a place where I was going through whatever I was going through. I had a surgery, I had lost the ability to have children. And I remember I'll never forget this. And I shared this story maybe twice. This is going to be my 3rd time saying this. I remember when I said it. When we complain, right, that we feel broken, we feel like when I lost the ability to have children, I was really in a place where I was like, oh man, like death, you know, like a death, like I was mourning. And I remember just, it's like, damn, but I remember the woman next to me, the bed, I was in the floor. I don't want to say GYN floor, the maternity ward.
Okay.
Okay, they had me there. I don't know why they had me there. And I remember they told me to get out of bed so I can walk because I was really, you know, I had to get out. If I didn't get up, you know, I was gonna get sick. They were forcing me to get up and walk. So I got up and I started walking. And I was walking really hunched down, like walking like that because I was all cut up. As I was walking, I remember looking at the little footprints of babies because they it's a maternity ward. So I
Right.
kind of like broke down and started crying, like, oh, like I was crying. There's this woman that's my neighbor comes to me and she's helping me. And she's like, it's okay, it's gonna be all right. And she's giving me only what's wrong. I was like, oh, I was sobbing, I was feeling it. And then she sat there and she said to me, and I asked her after I calmed down, she gave me some tissue. I wiped my tears away. And she said, and I asked her, why are you here? Right. And she says, oh, I just gave birth, but my baby was, dead.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
All of a sudden I was like, and I said to myself, like, wow, like,
Yeah.
I have children, but she gave birth to a one. She held him for 9 months and he was dead. And
Mm-hmm.
I just saw the strength in this woman that was immediately transferred to me because
Mm.
she gave me strength. So what I'm saying with that is that right now someone's listening to both of you. That's right now with the mascara running, crying, going through a lot, not understanding, maybe not having a relationship. Men don't understand this. And I wouldn't say men. I take that back, Def. I'm saying relationships are hard, like dating. How does
Yes.
that look? It's not easy. You don't even have time to
Woo.
have a girls' night out or, take care of yourself and pamper yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
just know that the fact that you put your children first, that is, it's beautiful and it's a strong message to everyone out there. So
Mm-hmm.
again, I salute you and I salute Granny and all those mothers out there. I know there's a lot. And not only autism, I know that my sister has Down syndrome. My niece is Down syndrome. She
Okay.
has a hands full. How do you deal with that with everything else in a world where no one's really understanding anymore? Nobody has empathy, nobody cares. Um, but we write poetry, and you guys have done a wonderful, phenomenal job advocating. And I love y'all. I love y'all for that, for real. It
I
just touched me. That
appreciate
was a
that.
beautiful piece, for real. That
Thank
to
you.
me is you give strength,
Yes,
for real.
shout out to that. Sure. Now, moving forward, um, I'd like to get into this next piece, and I'd like to share with y'all. As a nation, we honor the bravery and sacrifice of our military members, but we must also remember that for many veterans, the battles don't end when they return home. Too often, they carry invisible wounds,
Mm-hmm.
pain, trauma, and mental health challenges that can feel overwhelming and isolating. Today, I'm going to talk about a resource that offers hope, connection, and help when it's needed the most. It's the Veterans Crisis Line. It's free. It's 24/7. It's confidential support service, and it's specifically designed for veterans, active duty members, and their loved ones. Whether someone is in emotional distress, struggling with PTSD, feeling hopeless, or simply needs someone to talk to, it's just a call, a text, or a chat away. You can dial 988 by pressing 1 or by texting 838-255. Veterans can connect with trained responders, many of whom are veterans themselves, who understand their experiences and are ready to listen and support. Bringing awareness to this vital service can save lives. So today, let's not only talk about the Veteran Crisis Line, but also commit to spreading the word, supporting those who served, and reminding every veteran out there also that you're not alone. All right. And by that being said, I had something that I wrote recently while I was just lounging, living my best life. Right. And that was a joke, y'all. Right. So,
Oh no, I know.
um,
Mm-hmm.
and it took a lot for me to write this, um, and it took a lot, but thank God I have the support. I have the love around me to actually help me. I couldn't actually do this. I had to have somebody actually help me. You know what I mean? Put this down. It took a lot. And that's the first step with anything that we have going on. Not only, um, not only just the problems and mental problems of a veteran but just anyone in general. There's a lot of things that we may harbor or hold inside because there might not seem like an outlet or a way to release that. I think we all know that poetry is a form of releasing. So with that being said, after putting this out and also hearing it, it gave me a sense of relief.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for that. It's still something that, I'm bringing to attention. It's brought to attention. And it's something that to seek help. And it takes a lot of courage for anyone to go seek help. So if you guys are watching, and you are feeling a certain type of way, depression, insomnia, PTSD, whatever it may be, you feel like you're alone, seek help.
Mm-hmm.
Seek help. It's okay, and it's going to be all right.
Yes, it is.
With that being said, we don't have it. Stay tuned for a video. We don't have a video at the moment, but I'd like to share with y'all this audio. It is 838-255, and this is 838-255, y'all. Let's check this out, and I hope y'all enjoy it.
I want to add something else. That first of all, I'm proud of you, super proud of you right now. It takes courage to be here, where everyone's listening, sharing that you did have one of those setbacks, right? One of those things that we call situations where we coming into the realization that we may be going through something as a former Marine, right? And not only did you have trouble writing, but you started writing because you needed a little push. Some of us like to push people, and when we push, you responded. But not only did you respond in writing, you responded with music. You created a beat along with me. We created a beat that it was his decision to put some of those things in there, and I just want to salute you for that, because we need that, y'all. We strongly need that. We just don't write poetry here. We genuinely, authentically. It's wonderful when we all high and every happy and everything's great, but when some of us fall back, where are our brothers? Where are our sisters? Where are they? We need each other, and sometimes it takes a brave phone call to be like, this is happening, because you never know. You never know who needs help.
Yep.
And this is a concrete example of that. So I salute you, and let's get to this. This is called 838-255. This is Def Poetry. Y'all listen up now. Thank you for calling the Veterans Crisis Line. 24 hours, 7 days. Confidential crisis support for veterans and their loved ones. Para Español, oprime dos. Please stay on the line. Help is on its way.
It could be months for some. It starts. But for me, these intrusive memories appeared years after the war, so I built a wall to protect my emotions. Because the anguish I wanted to stall, it comes back over and over and over and over again. Unwanted distressing memories like a lethal, detrimental, traumatic event. ¿Qué es eso? Replaying in my head, causing major issues at work, social situations, not getting along with others. So I put my faith in God to give me the discernment, but ever so often the air around me changes. ¿Qué es eso? Esto es un ataque espiritual. Estos son los demonios. Zoning out and zoning in. Can't trust no one. Everyone seems to be changing. No feelings, just numbness lingering. I try to keep from crashing into deep flashes of setbacks and thrashing, reliving a traumatic annoyance, so I keep away from people. I am perceived as an emotional disturbance. Yeah, I guess you can call me avoiding people. Period. Avoidance. Negative thoughts about others, myself, and people tend to have me thinking and switching up my mood. Ongoing negative emotions of fear, blame, guilt, anger, or shame, that shit will have you avoiding people too. Have you ever felt so emotionally numb with foggy memory, not remembering significant parts of a certain tragedy? Tell you the truth, I feel detached from some family and maybe even friends and society. I had to write this poem because soon I may lose interest in writing my own poetry. It's becoming a challenge to feel the waves in the ocean from the severed lack of positive emotions. Startled easily. I'm drinking heavily. Anxious for no reason. So I'm having trouble sleeping, lacking patience for my lack of concentration. Anticipating danger as I indulge in self-destructive aggressive behavior. Mental soliloquies with angry outbursts, glistening with a rapid heartbeat as I shake, breathing uncontrollably. Can't tell if I'm horrifically dreaming or reenacting a life I was badly lifing. Do I reach out to a loved one? Or is it already too late? Creating solitude to dwell as an escape. I ask God to show me a sign as I drive down the street. In bold letters I see, contact the suicide and crisis hotline. I started asking myself again, is this a curse or a hex? So 838-255, I began to text. This is Deaf Poetry.
Man.
Snaps out.
I'm over there. I'm trying not to cry. My hairs are standing, and I'm kind of like,
Right.
Shout out to you, Dad. For real, for real.
Yeah.
PTSD is one of the most well-known issues among veterans, especially those who experience combat and traumatic events. So also people who experience traumatic events experience PTSD. Symptoms for most veterans include flashbacks, nightmares, severe anxiety, emotional numbness, and hypervigilance. All of those right there, I can, relate to strongly. It's disruptive in relationships, sleep, work, and daily functioning as well. It's something that I never really took. I noticed it, but I never really said, okay, that's what it is. Because I just dealt with it.
Do you think it was masking? You think you may have been masking as well? I wanted to ask you that. Like, is it because you kind of like don't want to bring that up? You know what I mean? Like you don't. I always ask that because it's almost similar to having something, knowing it, feeling it, but don't even want to show
I wouldn't
it.
say. I think it's just something that not everyone can relate to. So you can't really speak to that with everyone. I think one thing that happens, one thing I notice, and I'll snap out of it. I go into a deep stare, and I'll just go into a deep stare, right? That's triggered by
Yeah.
You know, and it took me a while to even realize that I was doing that. As far as masking, I'm not 100. I'm not sure because
Mhm.
I
It
think
can be a form.
it could be.
Absolutely.
I think for me personally, no, because I think it's not for me. It's not something that I genuinely share with. I haven't shared that with anyone.
Hmm.
So some people ask the wrong question.
Mm.
Have you ever killed anybody?
Right.
Hmm.
Use my language. You know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
viewers? But um,
Yeah. That's the
you,
first thing that people want to know. It happens to me in the police field. My nephew, Titi, have you ever shot somebody? I'm like, is that the only thing you want to ask? How about if I save someone?
Right.
right.
You
Right.
know what I mean? Have you ever killed someone? Because it's the
It
weapon.
could be. It could be a form of masking though. When you look down to the symptoms though,
Yes.
depression. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah, it's not
depression.
really anything to do with the autism tie. It's another level of self-protection,
Right.
of functioning through
Right.
your PTSD. My brother said the same. Funny that you Funny that you said they're not asking the right question. Because my
Hmm.
brother said the same thing. And I've discussed this with you before, Def. You know, my brother also went through some hardcore PTSD where he disappeared. But he said the same words. And when you said it, I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And so what are the right questions, Def?
Um. I I really,
Are you
I think the right question sometimes is not asking any questions at all,
Hmm.
and just if you get into it, that conversation happens if it happens. If someone feels safe and comfortable enough to be able to have that conversation, um,
Right.
I think that's a topic where it's, you know, you can't really ask. You could if you asking questions, it might be like, I'm thinking about joining. What can I do that'll benefit me that maybe you experience? I think there's different questions as far as a veteran. I could share with you the ins and outs of if you're interested in it and you want to do what's best. Oh, I'm gonna load you with all the information you need to know to make sure you don't fail.
Hmm.
So,
Right. But
but
what if they asked you like, hey, how would I protect my mind from going through this so I can prevent the PTSD? Do you
um,
have any suggestions for that?
swallow your pride. Swallow your pride and see the doctors while you're in. Don't think
Hmm.
don't think that you're weak by doing it. Go see medical. If you have if your ear hurts, if you got a headache, go to the medical. If your leg hurts, if you got bit by a mosquito and you scratched it too hard and the leg hurt for a week, go. It don't matter. Go seek help. That's the best thing I could say because not only in military branches but in other organizations, sometimes look, it's frowned upon to go to the doctor. It's frowned upon to seek help because then
Hmm.
you're perceived as weak.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Especially for men. Especially for
Absolutely.
men. You're more
Especially for
common to
men.
hear about the women reaching out. And Izzy,
Hmm.
this kind of pertains to you too, being a police officer. You know,
Yeah.
you expect certain people of high standing, like a military person or a police officer, to not have these weak moments. We
Yeah.
perceive you as these great strengths, but reality is the more manliest thing to do is to be real and say, "Hey, I got an issue." To
Hmm.
be a real, to be a police officer and say, "Hey, hello, I need some help over here. Nobody's asking me the right questions. I'm trying to give you hints. Something's not right." Now, how do you handle somebody just coming to you and say, "Hey, Def, I noticed something. How are you okay?" Do you take offense to that, or is that like an
Me,
open door?
me personally, it's an open door. I do. Um, I love to share if someone's looking for if you're seeking something. I do love to share. I have no problem with being um you know I have no problem with humiliating myself in a sense of being able to tell you where I went wrong, what I've done, things I've seen. my experiences. Now, with that being said, I don't dive into, there's certain things where I'm not transparent about. Um, you know, but those are conversations more or less you have with brothers that you serve with. It's easier to have that conversation with people you serve with. Um, and just because they they can relate. Um, there's a lot. Me looking into it now, I've realized a lot in retrospect throughout my years of being out the military. Anxiety that comes with panic attacks, socially anxious. You know, um, I've experienced constant worries, irritability,
Mm-hmm.
restlessness, um, rapid heartbeat. My heart is rapidly beating, muscle tension. That's that hypervigilance.
Yep.
Uh, and things that I've never really looked into. Um, so for me, it's played a big toll on me. TBI, traumatic brain injury, being exposed to chemicals, being exposed to uh, toxic drinking water. You know, um, you know, substance abuse. Um, you know, uh, Behavioral, suicidal thoughts, behaviors, isolating yourself. Feeling like you're a burden. Those are warning signs. And I've experienced many of those, or all of them. Adjusting to society. I feel like being in a structured military, especially as a young adult, 17 years old, going 18 years old, you getting out of the military, you're transitioning into society, and I think that's a hard transition. A lot of people don't seek help right then and there, and then you go through years of transitioning, but you ain't seeking help through all those years, so you're suffering through all of these things, and you're kind of just living with it. um, you know uh, I think my naiveness kept me from looking for help. Pride, not trusting the system,
Mhm.
not having faith in that system and just rather just do it, on my own. Um, and, I think the older we get, the more we realize, you know, it's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It's all right. I'm gonna go seek help. Having the conversation, to speak to a therapist. If you would have asked me that 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I ain't talking to nobody. I ain't
Mm-hmm.
talking to nobody. I don't know me. Don't know nothing. I don't want to hear nothing about no BS. Without really thinking about myself first. I'm thinking about what they gonna tell me and what they gonna think.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of factors, and I think it's just something that if you have loved ones, if you guys are, anybody viewing, if you are prior service, um, and you're experiencing these things, call, look for help.
Absolutely.
There's outlets, there's resources out there.
That-
I'm finding more and
That's
more every
great.
day.
That's
You know,
great.
so yeah, I appreciate you guys. Um,
We're proud of you.
I
Very,
Yeah.
appreciate.
very proud of you because an audience, this is to anybody out there in a military situation with PTSD or even a police officer, because police officers have PTSD too. They go through battles on the daily.
Absolutely.
Um, one thing that's the most important is to seek help and be proud of yourself for taking that first step, because anything in mental health period is the initiating step. Your first
Mm-hmm.
step is the most powerful step you could take, but it's the willingness to take that step. That doesn't make you weak, that makes you beyond strength. and it's because you recognize something needs to be fixed. To be quite frankly, so very proud of you, Def, and very proud of any of you out there that are watching, that are taking these steps. And if you do need help, we are a diversity group here.
Absolutely.
Definitely hit that email and that phone call, and Sunshine agrees.
That's right. Shout out to Sunshine and shout out to you, Def Poetry. We
Yeah.
appreciate you. All right, y'all. I have one more thing that I want to add to our, my goodness, this turned into the poetic clinic. So I have one more poetic clinic issue right here. Because what he was speaking about is that fight or flight. And before we get to the lovey-dovey, because we got something from Miss Cheesecake and Def Poetry. Okay, we have an audio that is streaming on all platforms. But before we get there, we're gonna play Fight or Flight. All right, this is for all of you.
I'm frozen to the bone. That's what the psych says. He says my heaviness and darkness is in my soul. He says I'm cold and I'm cold, but he's wrong. I am a soul. So this one's for the ones who've been on that mode of fight or flight, trying to remain alive, living on survival mode. It's a feeling and it'll go away, but it's an addiction to living a life we don't love, preferring to do it all alone, smiling and smiling all along, singing to the wrong song. But today, it's a new day, and we control our fate. This one's for the fighter on fight or flight mode. When you're wondering how to regulate your highs and your lows, we are living in constant state of stress, conditioned to the rush of the arousal, conditioned to addiction, to the emotion, not being able to control the outcome, because we can't predict our future outcome, but we on threat or danger in this outer and inner world. We can't see. We're living with TDC, threat, duress, and coercion. We feel the suffocation, so some of us, we turn to meditation, avoiding that detrimental medication. It's like we feel this overwhelming lack of patience. We do realize they want us to be the perfect patient. It's our brain and body not in homeostasis. This one is for the ones who've been on that mode of fight or flight, trying to remain alive, living on survival mode. It's a feeling and we know it will go away, but it's an addiction to living a life we don't love, preferring to do it all alone, smiling and smiling all along, singing to the wrong songs. But today, it is a new day, and we control our fate. Fight or flight affects our nervous system. Enormous energy and resources are placed on the wrong images and mindsets. Our organism perceives danger, alternating a rush of adrenaline. Fight or flight. My heart rate increases. My energy decreases. Pupils dilate. Salivary juices can't control my respiration. Time to fight. Time to hide. Unbalanced, seeking to regenerate. But today I continue to speak to the fighter in me, no longer in solitude, but living in gratitude. No need of fight or flight, just taking it a bit easy. Truly receiving the joy in my life, my joy for existence, having appreciation, celebrating my kindness when I know we all can change the way we think. Fight or flight. I speak to my body, my environment, and I'm kind to my time. No need to get back to the familiar or the highly analytical, over-focused state. Just changing the scenario. And I never realized my addiction to my state of flight. Fight or flight. I was addicted to a life I didn't even like. Whether it was a relationship, despicable relatives, that cutthroat co-worker. I was addicted to a life I didn't even like. I say rise, speak up, be brave. Don't let no one ruin your day. No one ruin your life. It's your life. You change your fate. So this one's for the ones who've been on that mode of fight or flight, trying to remain alive, living on survival mode. It's a feeling and I know it'll go away. It's an addiction to living a life we don't love, preferring to do it all alone, smiling all along, singing to the wrong songs. But today is a new day. We control our fate. I'm Dr. Poetry, and you're not alone. Fight or flight.
That one's for you, Def. And that's for all of you out there.
Fight or flight. And for y'all that don't know, fight or flight is a response in the survival mechanism that we have. And it's triggered by perceived threats that we see.
And we're used to.
That we're used to. It's an automatic reaction. Your body's prepared for either confronting the danger or fleeing from it. And even with flight or flight, you know, these that ties into PTSD and chronic trauma. And I do understand that everyone has a form of PTSD.
We
So
do.
fight or flight, just like you were describing, Dr. Poetry, you were saying it's you know, this stem from family, from work,
The projects.
There
I
you
was
go.
telling you the other day, you know, he's from South Camden. I'm from the South Bronx. And we have a lot in common. And I say this because growing up in the South Bronx, and I know you could relate South Camden, I grew up in the housing projects. John Adams, shout out to y'all, John Adams houses. I remember growing up on the 15th floor. And just to get in the elevator and all those different stops that you got to see on those different floors just to get to the 15th floor it was traumatic. And if the elevators were broken, I had to walk up the stairs. Okay. I had to take the train. But not only did I have to worry about what goes on in the home sometimes, right? We talk about domestic violence, certain things that went on in the home, but just even walking out and bottles being thrown at you because a girl don't like you, right? Because you look pretty, but they're gonna throw a bottle at you. So now sometimes when I walk through the projects, when I'm walking to visit family in the Bronx, PTSD, I just be like, wait. I'll be looking at the roof just to make sure I don't get hit by a bottle or an egg. I'm not saying that I still walk around with that, but I still have it in me to just be like, damn, I remember they used to throw bottles out the window, right? Just surviving in a ghetto is a trauma, is a fight or flight. You're already on there. So this is all before being a police officer. So you're already like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so you go into, for instance, Def saw a lot in South Camden, and then you go and you become a Marine. I become a state police officer. And we see a lot. 17 years of law enforcement. I'm telling you, I'm about to be 18 years on the law enforcement, and it's not easy. Before we get into it, I want to do a quick commercial break because I want
We got
to
some promo,
definitely,
y'all.
we have a promo for a new show that's coming in. Now that we're talking about the Marines and you know, police